The Outsider by Stephen King. And then there's HBO's The Outsider. One of these is good. And the other one was produced by HBO. So around 3 months ago, I started reading The Outsider by Stephen King. And it was a pretty okay book. It was decent, good for one read, wouldn't want to read it again. And when I was about through chapter 1 or 2, I found out that there was a show on HBO that was adapting from the book. And I thought, oh, cool. I can read the book and I can watch the show. I can go alongside it. Like, I can read a chapter of the book, watch an episode, maybe less of an episode to catch up, you know, just kind of watch the story as I read the story. You know, something you can't really do all that often. So as I'm watching this series, imagine my surprise when I get to episode 2 out of 10 and I'm already caught up to halfway through the book. Here's the visual representation. This is about the thickness of The Outsider. And I'm here. I'm at the midpoint. Episode 2 out of 10. That was a big red flag. I had no idea what their plan was. I thought that they had changed up the story, or they did, I don't know, I have no idea. But like, I got there, I was just like, this is not gonna be good. This is gonna be really weird. I don't know what they're gonna do. And boy was I right, that it was bad. The first problem I have with the story is the longevity of it. Because when you take half of a story and stretch it out as much as they did, you have to add a lot. Because I'll be honest, not a bunch happened in the second half. Like, it was mainly, it's mainly a narrative from Ralph Anderson's perspective. Like, he talks about what he's going through, his trust issues, what he's seeing, what he's not believing, and it's very well done. But in the series, they obviously can't follow one guy, so they follow all of the characters, so much that they actually add scenes where characters interact where they didn't interact in the story. They added character arcs, they added character interactions, and they added characters. Like, they just conjured up more characters for what I see, pretty much no reason other than to give another character an arc. Jack Hoskins interacting with the Outsider so much took away tension from the Outsider himself, because in the book we never hear about him. The only things we find out about him are when they're discovered by the detectives, and even then it's still a mystery. We don't know what's real and what's not, which makes him more scary because they could be completely wrong, and whenever they do something to work against him, it could backfire. We don't know. But when you have one of the characters interacting with that antagonist, it solidifies more and it gets rid of most of the mystery, regardless of the fact that we barely ever see him. But it still gets rid of the mystery. I'm going to stop saying in my opinion. This whole video is my opinion, so get over it. Get wrecked if you like this show. The show gave him an essence of weakness rather than something to be feared. Because like in Who Goes There by John Campbell, he could be anywhere at any time. Like in the book, he could be anywhere at any time, and we don't know what he's doing. But in the show, we're shown footage of him, you know, at the will of Hoskins. You know, if Hoskins doesn't help him out, then he might be screwed. If the Outsider doesn't specifically prey on animals, he's screwed. The only time we ever see him really do anything is when he tries to kidnap a kid, and that doesn't even work out. And they also have Jack and Holly interact, which I guess could be, you know, it's feasible. It's obviously feasible because they're both working on a similar case at the same area, but it wasn't really necessary because all it did was create tension. All it did was give more proof to Holly that this is a threat, this guy's a threat. And yeah, that helped out the investigation, but it made things less clear. Or no, it made things more clear, my bad. It made things more clear, thus less scary. So in the book, Ralph's son, daughter? Wow, yeah. I'm not watching the show or reading the book again because they're both not worth the second watch. Ralph's child is at a camp, and because the Outsider's murder was a kid, they were like, yeah, let's maybe not bring him home, or maybe we should bring him home, and that was pretty much it. That's like the most they got out of that kid, you know. But in the story, the kid was dead, and that just added a lot of arc to Ralph that he didn't need. And the only way that arc was ever expressed was when he went to his therapy sessions. And I might also add that in the book, he went to, I think, 2 therapy sessions, and that was it. But in the HBO series, he goes back there constantly throughout the episodes, giving more backstory into his arc that, I still might add, barely affected the rest of the show. Barely. I'll go as far as to say as it didn't. Holly Gibney also got unnecessary arc. To be honest, in the book, she didn't have much of an arc to begin with. Nothing much happened. They were like, hey, I know this private detective who can do some really good work. And they were like, bring her in. And then she started doing some stuff. She brought back the information. No one believed her. And then everybody believed her. And then they go and confront him. End of story, pretty much. So in the book, she was smart and intuitive. And she could come to facts really soon. And it wasn't really a supernatural ability, but it was still more than most people had to some degree. But in the series, it felt like they tried to give her the shining. Like she had like special mind powers, because she could literally look at a building and identify how tall it was to the inch. Which is, oh, cool, I guess. It definitely doesn't add to the story at all. And frankly, it just makes her character a little more annoying because she's so deadpan all the time. It was a really weird decision to make. The actress did a great job doing it, but frankly, I just don't like what the directors did with her character. And because she's a woman, she needs a man to have an arc.
What would you say to the young girls watching?
I don't know. You're as good as any man.
Terrible.
Adding him was so pointless. He had so little contribution, and he died at the end. Rip to this guy, you know, he did nothing to the show, really. There was nothing he could do that Holly could have done herself, because they obviously display that Holly's very intuitive, very smart, very connect the dotsy, you know, and then he comes in here and connects dots for her that she could have easily connected. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Holly, really. And her little boyfriend. Claude, his hand tattoos. It says can't and won't across his knuckles. Hey guys, so I made a big mistake about the show. Turns out Claude had knuckle tattoos that said can't and must, not won't. And that makes a huge difference, because Claude can't and must do the drugs, and then Ralph Anderson can't and must believe in the outsider. There's a huge difference, huge mess up on my part. Let's get back to the show. And those are very important, because in the story, well, okay, it's important to the story because it's a big key factor on how they figured out that the outsider was going after, okay, not going after, he was becoming Claude Bolton. And it also played a really good dichotomy with Ralph's inability to believe in what was going on. Can I call the outsider a he? It could become a girl. I guess it says they. I don't know. It's a monster. I'm not gonna give proper pronouns to this monster. It. I'll just say it. But yeah, they completely erased Claude Bolton's hand tattoos thing. So when they figured out that the outsider was copying Claude, it was like, how'd they do that? Did they just whatever? They just throw that together? Okay, whatever. So the main theme is going against logic to come to a conclusion that is not popular and that people probably won't believe you for. And it's delivered through Ralph, because while the entire team believes Holly that the outsider is a monster, something that out of a fiction story, Ralph is the only one who is reluctant up until the very end to believe. And that's all in the story. But towards the middle, he realizes he needs to start believing. And he does it in kind of a case situation. It's like, I won't believe you, but I'm going to treat this case as if I do. But in the HBO series, he doesn't believe them the whole time. And it is so annoying. In terms of substance, most of the series looked like B-roll. It's just quiet shots, panning, looking at something closely, getting Ralph's reaction to something that, ooh, could be kind of freaky, and then not applying it later. To quote Geralt from The Witcher.
It's like ordering a pie and finding it has no filling.
It's just, it looks awesome. It looks really well done. The soundtrack is great. The cinematography is great. The casting is great. Everything about the show is great, except for the developments, the characters, the longevity of it. It's just bad. I don't want to shoot this video anymore. The book was good. There was a few times I wanted to put it down, but it kept me interested. Like, I kept wanting to find out what happened. And the main reason I kept watching the show was because I wanted to see what they did with the outsider's face. Because his face shifts. And at some point in the book and the series, they describe it as just something that's not normal. Like, it follows the motif of Lovecraftian literature, and I love that. What? And I wanted to see how they did Lovecraftian shit in film, because I don't have it very much. And then once they get to it, like the few times you can see the outsider's face, it looks like this, and it's like, oh, that looks cool. But it's not moving at all, which is okay, I guess. And they did nothing. They did nothing! I know this video didn't have a lot of structure, but holy God, it didn't need structure because I'm talking about The Outsider from HBO. What? I guess. Thank you for watching my review of this god-awful TV show. Be sure to not watch it, but be sure to subscribe and like the video, and maybe watch some of my other videos, because, you know, I like making those. Those are important to me, unlike The Outsider by HBO. Yeah. Have a good weekend. Stay safe out there. Try to be happy.